Welcome, welcome. So I've been doing some Girnar mapping, putting the lines in, just drawing over top it. The little like here, like maybe I should have some there. Like this, pretty much just doing this. Like okay, I see that there's like a little something here, coming back that way, and just kind of doing that the whole mountain. And if you've been following along, so let's just go back for a little recap. Here's Girnar, which was, I'm like, what do I say right now? How much detail? Essentially, here's Girnar. Here is where Dwarka was, ancient Dwarka, as written of in Hindu scripture, and it was attacked by a vortex weapon, and the earth was smaller, and the vortex weapon caused a vortex to then move this way, which is imprinted in the earth as I have documented in detail. And then as it moved, it caused the mantle to be punctured, emitting mantle on top of the moho boundary, basically, which then filled in underneath the crust and flowed in every direction. And then the storm, when that happened, the storm moved this way and is out of the region. And so anyway, yeah, just it caused all of this. Watch my other videos. Okay, cool. Here is how the earth expanded in general. The current flows from there, from here, the puncture hole in the mantle, which is visible in the magnetic anomaly map grid, something. Which then current flowed in and around this region. I talk about this in my other videos. And so I was just basically kind of zooming in. This video was going to be just zooming in closer and closer, and from here to here. And then we get into Gujarat itself, where the doom shape, the object, the vortex storm moved through, causing extremely high influence on the terrain, especially in Gujarat, because this is where the currents from the storm were being inserted through the earth, essentially in Girnar, and then through the earth to the mantle puncture hole, where it could then enter into the actual interior of the earth, because that's what was happening. Was space was flowing into the earth because there was a puncture in the mantle hole. And how it flowed was through this vortex storm that brought it out from space and into the earth, through this storm, in through all these currents, like subtle energies that are just flowing, that are then causing like a swelling of the region in like a crystalline manner. Okay, so as the storm moves, the current comes in this side, and essentially combines into an actual arrow on the ground, which I have outlined, but then I just drew over top it poorly. And then the current flows this way, and essentially this current coming down here flows over and up, and essentially produces this boundary. With the current coming in from here, it doesn't really go any further, it seems. It just kind of produces a boundary. And then over here, it just keeps going, and it swirls around here, like I believe this here, there's like a back pressure, so it starts going in both directions. And this direction, it essentially runs into stuff, so it swirls, producing a hill, as well as a spiral structure here. Then it comes around here and goes around Girnar, where it's swirling into, but it goes around up here, because this is less energy. This is kind of like the main currents are coming from the storm itself over on this side, especially here. So this, and it may be that there's like, this is only the end currents rather than like the whole of the storm's currents. Like these may have made it over here initially, but as the storm moved, it started to reshape the terrain, so that the end result is all we see. Where like at the end, it was generally in this type of current pattern where it had a boundary here because this current wasn't getting in as much, even though maybe when it was up here, there wasn't really a pressure back behind it to stop it from getting in, so maybe it didn't have this boundary initially. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Probably not. Same for this, like when the doom shape came down here, the vortex storm, it produced a current this way, but then there's still a current coming from around here that then just kind of produces a boundary. And so all this current just is caused to flow along this way. And down here, and so basically this leads to a funnel of energy through this region, specifically through a flame-like structure into Girnar. Not like randomly, but a flame-like structure. So that's kind of what I was noticing right now. And what was making me like, maybe I should hit record. Is this like... Let's just go through it. I was thinking before I forget the thought, because it seems important, that there's not many like this type of thing over here where there's folds. There's a lot of folds over here. And then there's a lot of currents over here, really coming in through through here and but especially through here and here, like all of it really, but not here so much. This kind of makes me think of like, maybe I should pull out the other one too. I don't know where it is. Girnar. Where? Future hot images. That one. Let's just open that. Oof. That's not as good as I thought it was, but okay. Maybe there is a pressure through here though, because it's coming in here. I'm not even sure if that was the one I wanted to open. It's not. There was a smaller one, but more than this, that had a lot of currents on it. Pardon me. It's okay. I should have been ready. I looked at it even. I was like, I don't need that one. It could be anywhere. I just have chaos in these. I guess these are not that. Pardon me. It must have been in here. It's a map. It's not underground map, which I know is a little. I've done so many other things. It's just not. Uh, Periodic table of currents is coming along pretty well. I definitely got stuck on it, but I do believe it's of interest. Like, it's certainly a little like, what the fuck, dude, at this stage. But and and I'm running into major like turning points, forks in the road where like something changes and I'm not really picking up on what it is. Why is it not in here? It must be. One of these I did this region with currents more, but just not this map. It just had more exact. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's just zoom in on this. Let's just do that. So essentially, there's little current things going on, but interestingly, like Girnar. Maybe I should pull up a map. I was not prepared. I was like, there's so many interesting things to say. Now, what do I say? Maybe I should just start the video over because I haven't really said anything except recapping shit poorly. Fuck. This here, we can kind of see the flame there. Literally, we can kind of see it. Here. 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 Just coming in, and then it's spiral. It's almost like a spiral shell, one of those shells. Like this. Something of that nature. It's almost like that. Like the way it has like cross things, but then it also has like this one goes all the way across, but then it also has this one here, which makes it more flame like. And then it goes all the way across. This one goes all the way across, which makes it more like a cross again, subtly. I understand it. This see, we can. There's some shit going across it. I mean, it's a thing that's actually in the terrain. Like, it's not just me seeing things. Like, it's in the terrain. Maybe that's a little road-like, but it's built on this thing in the terrain that just is a natural channel. It has this flame-like structure that flows into Girnar. So I was looking at this. So this is where I was kind of thinking maybe like this flame coming in. Like if there's a current coming around here and there's a flame coming in here, then that would make sense why this section kind of just bends off. So maybe this section is strongly suggestive of where the bend happens, and maybe that's why there's a thumbs up here. Just for this moment right now. Pardon me for seeing things. I was like, why is there a thumbs up there? Oh, okay, now it makes sense. Okay. But so yeah, like so that's why I wanted that other one because the current's coming around. It's wrapping around Girnar, but it's more subtle than this. This is obviously a low resolution current map of Girnar compared to something like this, where we can see like actual currents. Now, understand these are considered to just be caused by water. Obviously, that's how we interpret them. But my suggestion here is that there is a current wrapping around it, right? So if there's a current wrapping around it, that would make a lot of sense why there is this smooth edge on this side, but then it runs into that flame, so it kind of bends away. And so maybe the current just like smooth. It was over here, more smooth, creating like a barrier. Whereas the stuff coming in was creating this like fingering structure to just pushing anywhere it can. Like when it runs into resistance, it just branches outward, kind of like this. This current's coming across, coming across, coming across, but then it hits the edge of the like more sturdy boundary of the polygon of Gujarat. So it continues to go forward, but it also fingers out to the sides one way here, curls around here this way, and then it produces an actual hand reaching atop Girnar with its fingers just pushing a boundary this way. So it just does that. Like that's what currents do, is produce these like hit resistance, branch out, and then just push up the arcs in that manner against the resistance. So essentially, I believe that the combination then of the current wrapping around this section as well as the currents getting in, so some of it's coming in, like there's main channels being carved that are like conduits for current to come through, whereas over here it's more like Deccan trapsy. It's like basalt. It's flowing. It's still like flowing because it's a large igneous province of emissions that occurred that were in motion during this process because they were still emitted. But there was this current flowing through it that was carving like into, it was trying to get in, and as it tried to get in and push mountains, just push mounds around. So that's why I think these currents are very important, is because these are energy flows. Like there's this, I noticed, like there's a flow coming in here. So if this one's real interesting, let's go to the map, because I obviously kind of cut off part of it. That's what sucks about this, is I can't. It'd be cool to get Google Maps like highest resolution, like this resolution right here. Put the whole of Earth in one image. Just edit the portions somehow. And just slowly insert current lines. Because essentially, this current coming across is running into a resistance here. So maybe some of it's like sneaks through. So there might be some threads through. That's kind of what I think happens, is there's like channels cutting across into the, like making it. It's stuff that's making it, and isn't just like being forced along with the rest of the current, like the energy from its momentum carries it through this like side current that's maybe could prevent it from reaching it. So it makes it to Girnar, and then it starts to hit the resistance of this like mound building up here, because it's just building a mountain. And it all the subtleties, like there's definitely over here, this segment is spiraling, and I noticed this. So this comes in here, and then it does that thing where it branches off and branches off. And then interestingly, maybe it continues. I didn't draw it, but maybe it continues. Because this kind of lines up with it, and I'm like, where does this even come from? Like, where is this originating from? Maybe over here. But whatever this is, whatever this flow is, it seems to be tangential to... Let's change this color finally. I've just been using the same color. Tangential to the spiral that is like even past it, like here. It might be kind of cheating to draw a spiral here. There's definitely a lot of subtlety to it. A lot of folds that are more straight than spirally. But this here kind of gives me the impression of like generally like the center of this spiral. Okay, which maybe was occurring because there was a tangential current flowing here. Because this essentially fingers out down here, so that's an interesting aspect of Girnar. Like here we got this current, which goes in there, but also goes around. Goes around this, and according to my interpretation, Girnar itself is the current here has a vortex going on. There's a vortex here. These two vortexes produce this boundary. And then they also, with the current down here, this current rotating causes a current this way. This current rotating causing a current this way, and this one causes current this way, creating this segment here, this like block, a sturdy chunk that then this current kind of pushes into, but it goes mostly around to then join the flow that's more this way. But essentially by just cutting right into Girnar and fingering through it, this is definitely a little suspect on that there is like a physical vortex of Girnar itself. It may just be subtle energy vortex that's not so apparent in like things of this nature. Because this is very, essentially the way I was thinking about it is, well, it could just be water afterwards. After the fact, the water like that rained here drains down this way, and it really is just how we generally have seen it in the past. But I'm like, I don't think that's how this works. I think this mountain is only like 6,000 years old. And these paths were naturally formed even before the water was there. Sure, it's taking the paths now and maybe making them a little more distinct, but I think those paths were there like beforehand. So like currents flowed this way inward, branched outward, fingered into this thing and then pushed into the mountain. But then there's also a current coming in from the other side, from over here, that's coming in through this side, making its way through the a boundary point in the polygon, maybe, that's being formed by currents wrapping around it. But it goes through, and it essentially it goes up into this, pushes, it just pushes this whole region, comes this way, and just up, 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 push, 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 push. Here, here, meeting resistance from a current coming this way. Meeting resistance also from a current coming this way. So there are then 4 inlets, main inlets to the main central mountain of Mount Girnar. One of which is certainly, like, this is the flames. The flame did it. The flame did it. This makes actual, I wonder, it's such a chakra, like, it's a chakra. That's a chakra. I mean, why is there a chakra here? If there's a current flowing along it, and a wall here being produced by this, filling up basically. So it's essentially it pushes in and it creates this lower elevation region with the mountains around it relatively because of the way the energy flows, and just continues to push until it meets resistance, and the pile then is there, but it's also being shaped by, it is certainly being shaped by current flows through it that are probably more vortex-like in a heat dimension than in a atom dimension where the actual mountain is rotating, but more in a vortex of the heat is just as it cools and cools in a vortex manner, something of that nature. Like, heat doesn't just go up, it like literally spirals 1 up a layer, spiral 2 up a layer, 3 up a layer, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and it just goes up 1, 1, 1, 1. But instead of going up 1, 1, 1, 1, it has to spiral all the way through the layer and like fill it and go to the next layer, or go down into, recede through, spiral down. Like, there's a spiral flow in the current of heat flowing in that manner, maybe. At least here. Due to the circumstances, perhaps, of it being a drain-like feature on Earth. This current's coming in here, branching out. Down there to this boundary. I'm not doing well, dudes. Just FYI. Oh, God. Let's draw this. Because this is probably an inlet. It's just unclear if it's like this way, kind of. I guess like this whole region could be like here. Let's follow this. So it starts bending up and away. Meets some region that was just kind of where it accumulated. And then it either goes up this way or this way. Down here to this like node of the flame. And just right in there. But the way this bends up strongly suggests this current is basically kind of coming across here and running into here and causing like the flame to have an upper edge. But I guess this is spiraling this way. So I guess some of this edge over here, this portion feeds in through here. So it has a channel that it comes through here. Gets right to there. It just passes that current that it was facing a resistance from that is flowing across this way. This whole region has a current flowing across it. It's even part of it. It's just the outer edge, but then it wraps in. And then it gets past the current. And immediately just beelines in. Right in. As part of the flame, practically at that point. Then it's in this current, flowing in. Okay, so that one seems fine. That one seems fine. It was a little odd looking. I was like, why is... Because, like, for instance, I noticed down here, this one, it has more, like, fanning features this way. Which was a little odd to see. Like, most of these things really do just start like a single thread, branching in and then branching out. Whereas over here, like the features are not very distinct. Whatever's going on here is not that distinct. But it does have down here the opposite. It has a fanning structure here, where I was like, why would it do that? And then, well, actually, this is rotating, and this is rotating. So the combination of the two at the boundary would probably actually have produced a current this way. So that one actually makes sense and checks out as fanning outwardly from Girnar, where most of the time they branch into Girnar, which to me just gives like credence to that this is all legitimately happening. There's something to this. I'm not just making shit up. Dude's making shit up. What are these? They look almost like shalogram features too. Maybe that's just the current then. Like there's a current. There's for sure at this region a current that just made it in, that just like went straight into Girnar. Even though it's split here. It generally goes, it goes down here, hits the polygon, separates up here, wraps around here, into this region. While also there's a current coming around this way, blocking this off, and blocking off behind here, this polygon wall. So it kind of just like lodges that there by this spiraling energy. Then it flows this way, and down along here, just straight down along the end of the edge of the polygon, but it also turns in because there's a sink here. So it's coming in that way. And it probably just straight up goes right through like this channel into Girnar, whatever the actual natural channel is. I'm not sure if this is at all natural. Like that's a road now, but there's probably a channel that it took in to get here. Maybe from here, this here, probably that thing, like this way. Any of this land, like probably that. Is a place where like the current backlogged a bit. Looks like maybe it came in through here. At least definitely in through here, however it gets to there. Up this way. This way. And through here. So also probably at points cutting across. Just cutting across. Making a little slit from the pressure, and just cutting across more like this way, where most of the current was forced up this way, but like it was able to cause a channel through, which then comes in this way. But maybe it's also like not all going in there, and some of it's like caused to create these divots over here. I assume that's what this is. This looks like a man-made structure in one though. So maybe they could be man-made. I doubt it. I doubt that's man-made. This, like the structure is, but like the shape isn't. All of this, yeah, okay. Oh yeah, that would be huge. Well, that's crazy. They have structures in them. Okay, so maybe the currents are just branching off, creating little eddies over here in this region specifically and only, because I don't think that happened anywhere else around the mountain, really. Like they were just trapped here, but they weren't enough to, I don't know. Although they make me think of that Native American symbol I'd talk about in another video. Like its back has like volcanoes on it, and its front has current indentations, basically. I'm just wondering, maybe this is also related to a current, like wanting to get into Girnar, not being able to, in all these little segments. It looks like it does get in here a little, and here. Also this, I don't know what to make of that. Looks like it could have a kind of circular structure around it. Maybe it's some like node of an eddy, like an eddy formed in this region that just accumulated material more so there. I don't know. All while like there's still a current probably going at the top of this generally in some fashion and around it, just around, really making this smooth, this segment. But over here there's a current coming in and then spaces out, fills this space. Whereas over here, the current just goes straight into the mountain. It really doesn't do the same thing. Straight in. Probably because this system's here. I'm just thinking why this side, it's generally described that Girnar has a ring structure, but it really doesn't. It has a half ring. This side is only like mimicking a half ring enough to make it sort of ring-like, but it's really, this is a ring-like structure. This is just higher elevation material around the comparable regions. It's really not so defined. This suggests the current flow along it in a way that maybe just isn't present here, because this has just too much energy here, maybe. Systems forming that are not able to be so uniformly shaped around, like it's a big bulge there, there's a big bulge there, so this ring kind of just doesn't happen as much, even though it's still there, like in the rock. Oh, Girnar. Toribara. Maybe that's that mountain I took a picture of. Gadhakok. Cot. Gadhakot. Gadhakot. Meaning magmatic differentiation in Mount Girnar. And maybe embraced forts. Fort. Embraced fort. Kind of. Embraced by the currents. I guess that's everything, though. If what I'm saying is right, that's everything, so it doesn't really matter. This is already 47 minutes. I don't think I've really said much of anything significant. Maybe some things, maybe. But certainly not what I was feeling when I first started recording. So, before I drag this on, maybe I'll just end this here with a little update. Yeah, I've just been watching. I've just been literally watching people's discussions on history of atoms and how we got to where we are today with atoms, to really try to get a bearing on what basis our models have, so that I can go off of the basis and not off of the interpretations as I move forward, because I'm fairly certain there's something to my periodic table of currents. It just makes too much sense for there not to be something to it. I was thinking yesterday, for instance, like this. It doesn't. It's straight up neutrons, so it's really not about the proton. It's not about the elements so much as like how many neutrons there are, and also based on how many neutrons there are, that allows for a certain number of protons. And based on that, that just is what the element is, I guess. So that's what I was thinking, is like the number of neutrons is really not important. Is that kind of interesting? To a point where like it is carbon no matter how many neutrons it has. If it has 6 protons, like it always is carbon as a like characteristics of it. I'm not sure if there's any isotopes of atoms that display like fundamentally different characteristics to a point where it could be a different atom, a different element entirely, and we just like want to maintain that a certain number of protons is a certain element, and that's that. And we ignore the anomalies of that nature. I don't know. I've never heard of that, but let's see. Before I end this video, let's see. Do any isotopes display different properties? Different melting points, boiling points. So neutrons influence melting, boiling points in some way, maybe? Identical chemical properties. Yeah, I mean, there may be some instances where it's not quite identical, and we're just hand waving identical. Because that's a bunch of bullshit, identical. Identical is a dangerous word. In chemistry, physics, and science, like, are you sure? Different isotopes have different mass and have different tendencies to radioactively decay. Very similar chemical by the electric charge. Okay. Okay. People looking at this like, how stupid is he? To be like, looking. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. Did you know, though? Did you fundamentally, factually know that there are no anomalies in isotopes that would essentially indicate that we've been hand waving this all along? Did you know that, or did you just take our hand waving for granted and then assume I was the dumbass? Anyway, there's gotta be an anomaly. I don't believe it for a second that every single isotope of every element is identical except for, okay, like, this is nearly identical. See, they even will say nearly, so there must be some indication of subtle differences. Generally have. It's too hand waving. We need this in those instances. That's when we don't say all isotopes are the same. We say, some isotopes have different characteristics, and let's talk about these anomalies in depth, rather than fucking make everyone think some shit that's just false, because it's just generally the case in our observation. Then we generalize to the point that the anomalies aren't even spoken of when they are clearly the more interesting feature of what's going on at that point. Many isotopes, different isotopes, generally the same. I mean, they're probably not going to give me any actual examples. God. I'm not gonna find anything. We're so deeply ingrained in our assumptions at this point that there's no one even gonna be talking about the differences. Oh, they're all the same. They're all the same. It's so far down the line what I'm trying to find. It's so far back and such a like it's not something that like at most it will point me in a direction with this like maybe what's going on here. That's why I'm interested. If there are it's not just oh I need to prove everything wrong. I'm actually interested for a reason, like because it's probably applicable to what I'm doing here. To actually be like, there's some cases where isotopes don't have all the same properties, and here are the differences, and not just physical but also chemical. See, they say similar. Like, really, I mean, they must be just essentially the same. Essentially the same. Almost identical. Almost identical. Dude, talk about the not identical aspects of it, guys. There must be something real deeply hidden there that just to even think about it would reveal it too much that it's not even like thought about yet. Some shit happens like that where like as soon as someone thinks about the thing it's like, oh guys, there's this thing we've been missing. Like Girnar, like oh yeah, there's a evidence. What the evidence for some currents in this region and a mantle being punctured. All this stuff. Different tendencies. Da, da, da. I guess I should add chemical. Nearly identical. It's the same. This person says same. See how what happens when we say nearly identical generally, nearly, and like we know there's anomalies, but then over time it becomes isotopes have the same chemical properties. It's just a fact. Have same, the same, whatever. It's stated as if that's just how it is. That's just how it is. Like this nuance is gone because we've hand waved general statements over nuanced things because we want to be like, look at how much we know. Oh, the irony of it all. I know. The same. Similar. Let's say similar what's chemical. Okay, so this probably indicates, in short, in closing, now that this is an hour, in closing, this probably indicates that the like outcome of the atom really is not about neutrons. It's more so about how many protons can stably form within the atom, within the neutron arrangement. So if this is going on, there are 8 neutrons arranged by a current flowing into a polygon and then out of a polygon in hydrogen in the same inlet, and then puncturing an outlet but producing mounds in the process, to a point where it builds up more and more mounds. 1 mound, 2 mound, 3 mound, 4 mound, 5 mounds, 6 mounds, 6 mounds again, 7 mounds, 7 mounds again, 8, 8, 8, 9, 10, 10, 10. Skipping 9 though. This one only once. It only did once. 10 though. 10, 10, 10. That's a nice number. It's got more stability. It's more able for eddies to form within it, probably. So this is able to just form new eddies. But then again, a new neutron forms, and then a new neutron, so it skips over this unstable one and goes to this one, which is way stable. And then we have, again, proton, same number of protons, new proton, and then another proton. So 2 new protons in this stable structure again. So it does look reasonable. So, like, why exactly the neutron arrangement is irrelevant, I'm not sure. Besides just providing the scaffolding and framework for more eddies, because that's what this is like a current flowing in, producing an eddy in a polygon that has a boundary, kind of like Gujarat or like Girnar, a boundary from the current within, and then a current without, that are producing a polygonal boundary that then within the boundary, like this flow is within a larger polygon. This is just because I had to draw it in maybe the white. I should have removed this white. But anyway, essentially it just pushes mounds in the polygon. It extends the boundaries of the polygon, etc. And essentially allows for, then, by there being a mound here, like, then an eddy can form adjacent to it, kind of like Girnar. Like over here, like there's a mound here formed by this eddy. So this is kind of like a neutron and a proton. Literally. Mound formed by an eddy, but then it's not quite as stable as having that other net mound there. And then a third mound, 4 mounds, 5, 6. Then we jump up to just the more stable neutron arrangements, which may be irrelevant for some reason, in terms of like the quantity of each element in the universe and so on. And then I think it changes. So this is where I got stuck, is it changed here. Okay. The end. I'm done. I swear. I'll be back though. Maybe. If I don't, bad things.